So I'm going to show you a swing trading strategy now, and I do it on a daily time frame. Since it's a swing trading strategy, I might be holding the trade for a few days, and this is essentially a strategy where I'm waiting for the gap to fill and I will go for the trade in the direction of the gap. So for example, if we see here, there was a clear gap here, there was a gap up here, and let me just make the gap correctly. So we'll be making the gap based on the opening and the closing prices. So we can clearly see that there was a gap here on this day in November 2022. And now most people, how they trade is they wait for they look for a selling entry. They look for a selling entry, so that because they know that the market will come down and touch this. But what I do is I wait for the stock to come here, and once the stock comes here, I will take an entry. So once it comes here, I will take an entry. So we can clearly see that this red candle touched this gap, and since this is a very, very strong support level, I will go for the entry once the high is broken. So this is where my entry is, and I will put my stop loss below the gap, because this is a very strong level, and we can easily go for a 1:1 or a 1:2 trade. So this was first profitable trade. You will notice the same thing happened again. I will again go for the entry, and again we can see that the stock is going up and giving us profits. But what I've seen is that I will generally prefer the first trade only. I will not prefer the second trade, because the accuracy of the first trade is far better than the second one. Okay, so that's the strategy. Let me show you some more examples. Again, a bullish example, because again there is a gap up. So you can see here that there was a gap here somewhere in January, and now what I'm waiting for is a candle which comes in the gap. So we can clearly see that a candle came here and it got a good support. So we will buy here at the high. We will put this as a stop loss, and we can easily take a 1:4 or a 1:5 trade, depending on how strong the upward movement is, or we can even go for a trailing kind of a stop loss. Let's take one more example. I'm showing you HDFC Bank now, a very similar trade here. You will notice that there was a gap, again a gap up, again a gap up. So what again I'm waiting for is the stock to reverse and come into this gap. It did come here, and I will buy at the high of the green candle. I will put my stop loss somewhere here below the gap, and again a very good move. Let me try to find more stocks for you where probably I can get a selling trade also. I think Bharti Airtel, yes. So Bharti Airtel did give me a selling trade. You can see there's a gap down this time. And all I'm looking for is the stock to come in my range. So once it came down, it came up, and then I could have taken a trade somewhere here, or maybe once it comes out of the gap, I can put this as my stop loss. And this is a selling trade since it's a gap down. So whenever there's a gap down, since the stock will be coming up, it will be a resistance zone. So I will be looking for a selling entry. And whenever there's a gap up, it will be coming in a support zone, and I will be looking for a buying entry.